Bridget, take it. Bridget, do you want to welcome folks?
Oh, yes. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bridget Liddy, and I'm Director of Planning and Urban Design with the City of Savannah. I'm here with our consultant team, the Collaborative, along with other sub-consultants that they'll introduce. And we are here to talk about the equitable growth plan that we're in the process of creating for the Tide to Town Trail. So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed on what an equitable growth plan is, we're trying to ensure that we have a citywide trail that's about a 30-mile loop that goes around the city of Savannah that will touch on different neighborhoods that will help to promote economic, social, and recreational justice for those communities, specifically focusing on those economically low wealth communities along the trail. And we're hoping that that will help to integrate the community into the larger opportunity to take advantage of this system and really help to better people's lives. And so I think I've got a brief history that I can turn over to Mr. Armand Turner, who is with Friends of Tide to Town, as well as with Healthy Savannah, to kind of talk a little bit about that.
Thanks so much, Bridget, and thanks for having me. Yeah, so Tide to Town, it was first envisioned back in 2017. The Friends of Tide to Town board has been a community organization, along with many others, that have worked together to really bring this up to the forefront, and we're super excited. So the Tide to Town Trail is a protected network of walking and biking trails. It's envisioned to be about 30 plus miles. It'll connect over 30 schools, major hospitals, 62 neighborhoods, economic centers, and so much more. It'll be a combination of off-road shared use paths, so for walkers and bikers, and it'll be barrier separated on streets and for the bike lanes. So we're really excited to hear more from you all and just see how we envision it going forward. And with that, I'll pass it on.
Joe? You're muted, Joe. Oh.
This open public engagement meeting for the Tide to Town Equitable Growth planning process. Glad to have you join us. This is the fourth engagement meeting. It's part of the engagement program that is in support of that planning process. I'm Joe Brevard. I'm one of the partners in the Collaborative. We were brought on by the city to lead the development of the Tide to Town Equitable Growth planning process, along with our Savannah-based partners, Deirdre Grimm of Grimm Consulting and Whitney Shepard of Transport Studio. The Collaborative is one of the things we bring is we're experienced in the urban trail planning in the context of an overall strong urban, many decades of urban planning experience, and we're happy to be leading the project. We were founded in 1990. Our main office is in Boston. We have a significant office in Atlanta, and are happy to be involved in this process, and particularly to be working with the city and with other supporters, including the Friends of Tide to Town. This meeting is an important element of the engagement process, but not the last element. We'll be speaking with other stakeholders as needed, community members and others over the course of the project. The goal of this meeting, as with the other previous engagement meetings held a couple of weeks ago, is to have you share your thoughts, hopes, concerns, ideas even about the project. And to help with that, to help foster that interaction, we've developed 5 basic meeting topic areas relating to the Tide to Town Trail concept. And this is the same approach we use for the 3 public meetings that we held in person a couple of weeks ago. And we'll solicit your comments on each and prompt your thinking with specific questions. And then what we do then is we record your responses and integrate them into our summary of what we've learned and what we've heard in the engagement process. And we formulate those and synthesize those into concrete input into the planning process. The 5 topic areas are as follows: promoting connections, housing and community preservation, community beneficial economic development, health promotion and recreation, and heritage and culture. Those are the 5 topic areas. And what we would like to do is commence a discussion on each of those. And as I mentioned earlier, comments and thoughts and reactions we will record on our end and make sure that we capture the essence of your thoughts and concerns and issues related to the Tide to Town project correlated into those 5 categories.
So I'm Ed Shokera, I'm a partner with Joe Bavard at the Collaborative. And just a little bit of background on the trail itself. It's as Armand mentioned, when built out, it'll be a 30-mile path, a recreational asset resource, a health promote. It'll be for healthy recreational exercise and things, and it'll be a transit corridor. It'll allow people to get around to different places, to work, for people to get to school, to areas to shop, and so on. But it's also a community resource. It's a citywide connector, but it's also a neighborhood level connector where people can go from their homes, get to schools, playgrounds, shopping areas, and so on. And it's also, on another level, it's a quality of life connector for individuals and families. It'll allow people to get to, as I said, some education opportunities and training opportunities. Along the trail, hopefully, there'll be new businesses and jobs created for folks as we go. And as the city's very committed to investing not just the trail, the pavement itself, but it wants to invest use this as an opportunity to further invest in communities along the trail to help improve quality of life, as well as and identifying along the trail places for some new playgrounds, outdoor spaces, gathering areas, so new community spaces as well. So there's many dimensions. We talk about a trail, it's more than just a lot more than just a 10 or 12 foot wide path or lane on. When it's on road, it'll be a bike lane, but it's a whole lot more than that. In terms of engagement, that's the city of Savannah, and with the trail outline as conceived right now, a 30-mile trail. Well, how do we undertake an engagement process in a city this big? Well, one of the things we're doing is a virtual meeting like this. So that let's see, there's about 1,000 viewers on the call already. So this is one way we reach out and engage. And then we had a number of meetings but one thing we've done is we've organized meetings that took place a couple of weeks ago. A set of meetings on the west side, a meeting on the east side, and then a community meeting on the south side. And those were very active and a lot of great participation. And this is the 4th meeting, a virtual meeting, to solicit comments. We undertook many engagement steps to let folks know. We've sent out posters and not posters, but invitations and via digitally as well as via print in both English and Spanish. And I'm now going to turn it over to Dr. Deirdre Grimm of Grimm Consulting, and she'll talk a little bit about what else we're doing to make sure we're hearing from the public.
Thank you, Ed. So in anything that we do, planning is a ground up approach, not a top down approach. So therefore we need to hear from you all. There's a community survey. We will provide the link via Facebook, and also you can go to the city's website and find the link for the survey. We want to hear from the community exactly what they feel are the needs and benefits of their areas, as well as the perceptions and even those negative things that you may think will impact you as a result of Tide to Town. We are very transparent and inclusive in our communication. So you can trust and believe that we will definitely ensure that all of the surveys that we are shared, we will take into consideration what you've said. And of course, community engagement is not a one size fits all model. We want to make sure that it is equitable as well as attainable. So we will be having a bus tour for you all in the community to see where Tide to Town is going, seeing the benefits that it has for you, and seeing how it's going to locally impact the economic and community aspects of your neighborhoods. What I hope that you all will do is flood and pack the bus tour. You can stay engaged with us via the city website and Facebook, and we will ensure to get those dates to you all. And so we have to hear from somebody. So we would like to ensure that we are creating an advisory committee to help steer our efforts. As a planner, I tell anybody I take all the letters off behind my name. And what I'm here to do is hear from you and hearing the voice of the community and seeing what it is that you all deem necessary. I know that there's a lot of conversation around economic development and economic impacts of the trail. And so we want to hear from you about that. We'll have different advisory committees and roundtables with different subpopulations, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a teacher, someone who unfortunately who has been formerly incarcerated, because we want to ensure that they have an opportunity for economic growth and development, to ensure that we are doing our due diligence and assistance in ensuring that everyone can attain generational wealth. Um, and just for a lighthearted moment, I joke and I say that I have two sets of children. I have those who are from 28 to 18 and from 7 to 2, right? I was crazy, but nonetheless, the next generation is who we're planning for. We're not planning for ourselves. And we need to hear from them what they visualize and envision for their futures and moving forward. So what we will do is work with local high schools and ensure that our students have a voice at the table. I'm certain that you all know that they are the forefront and very loud and very demonstrative in the things that they're doing. And so we want that energy to be utilized in a constructive manner to build a groundswell, not just with themselves or their peers, but also with their parents. So be on the lookout for more information when it comes to our student vision sessions with local schools. And here in the coastal Georgia area, we are privileged to have some great universities and colleges. And so that next generation continues on, and those are who are in college right now. It seems like forever ago I was in college, but nonetheless, these opportunities for internships is what was very invaluable to me in my progression. And I'm quite sure with a lot of people on this call, you see the value in those. And so what we want to do is ensure that local college students have the ability to get an internship, work with a mentor, someone with strong planning, public administration, poli-sci background, you name it. We want to hear and make sure that you are helping inform what it is that needs to be designed in order for you to thrive, because we won't be here forever. And so I love a great challenge, right? I love a design challenge, and maybe that's just the geek in me. But nonetheless, what we want to ensure is that everybody from all walks of life can see themselves in this and seeing how it will impact them, but also seeing how it can be designed to be aesthetically pleasing. Here you see a marker, looks like a wave in another city, and Ed will speak to that. But nonetheless, we want everyone to be able to be safe. We want everyone to be able to feel as they can go on the trail and not, unfortunately, get hurt. So nonetheless, we're going to have a delineation challenge where whether that be a wave. I've seen trees, I've seen cars, I've seen different things. And so I'm not going to ask anyone to do something that I'm saying. I want you to think out of the box. Ed will give you some information on what that design challenge looks like. But we also understand, unfortunately, here recently, we had I believe it was a bike related death not too long ago. And so we want everyone to be able to have a safe route to and from their everyday destinations. And this is a challenge to ensure that that continues on. Ed, if you want to speak more to it, please.
Yeah. So right now, I won't now just for, other than that, it's in the works on what that design challenge will be. It's still being developed, but as other communities have done, it's the trail will be as it's been built. Sections of it already been built. You can go out to Truman Parkway, and there are areas that have been built, and the city's in the process of building another 2 new sections to that trail. So some places it'll be off-road in a greenway kind of setting where you're away from cars. Other places where there's no width to do that, the trail will be in a dedicated in lanes on the street, ideally. And so that's sometimes what a lot of communities do. Besides painting the green pavement and putting an image of a cyclist, they'll put some kind of delineator to further show where that trail is and give a sense of the path, and helps with safety as well. So some of the questions that have come in, and as Joe said, the very first topic we'll speak to is promoting connections, but we have received some questions which we might want to talk about right from the beginning and get clear about. Dear Bridget, you may want to, or Miranda, you may want to speak to these. Often is when on a project like this, people want to know where's the funds coming from, and related to that is how long will it take to complete this project? Bridget, you want to field that?
Sure, I can jump in and answer that question. Thanks everybody for chiming in on that question. It's a great opportunity for us to kind of talk a little bit about it. So currently we have some funding that's been set aside through SPLOST that has been supporting different portions of the trail, specifically the construction of Police Memorial Trail and the Truman Trail Phase 2A. We're also looking at moving forward with Truman Trail Phase 2B, which will be construction should begin this year. If you've started to see some activity out on the trail with some trees being removed. So the way the portion of the project is going to be funded, it's going to be done in phases as funding becomes available. As I mentioned, SPLOST is a big component of the revenue stream to help support the project. In addition to that, the city is pursuing grant funding. We received a federal allocation to also support it. And about 2 years ago, the City Council approved an impact fee program. A small portion of the impact fee program is also going towards supporting the construction of the trail, which will take a bit to do because it is a 30-mile loop. So it's probably going to be about the next 10 to 15 years.
Another question that came up, a couple of folks, how is the city, this trail will go through some areas where flooding has been in the past an issue. Is the city, are these things exclusive, or will the city still be working on dealing with drainage and flooding issues in those areas? Bridget, you want to answer that one?
Yes, I apologize. I was trying to figure out how to demute. So there are quite a bit of areas of the city, particularly in the western portion of Savannah, which I see mentioned in the chat box, that does have quite a bit of flooding. The city was successful in securing a BRIC grant for about $30 million to go ahead and help support doing improvements to alleviate some of the flooding in this area. In addition to that, we are looking at other opportunities, creating a wetlands preserve park, which will have a trail component to it that connects to Tide to Town. So we are looking at making sure that as we do other infrastructure improvements related to drainage and other types of projects, that we're able to tie in the Tide to Town trail in order to ensure that we are looking at the project holistically as it relates to drainage, transportation and connectivity options, et cetera.
Good. So and then length of time. This is folks have asked, how long will it take for this project to get completed?
Sure. I think I mentioned it's probably going to be about a 10 to 15-year project, contingent on funding.
Okay, thank you. So with that, why don't we start with, because some of the other comments and questions really fall into the topic discussion areas. So I'll then bring those questions that have come up, and I'll make sure they get raised or comments in those topics. So the first one is promoting connections. And we're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes per topic area. So Joe, do you want to first get folks thinking about that?
Sure. And I'll just quickly run through again so you know what's coming. It's promoting connections. The next category is housing and community preservation, and then community beneficial economic development, and health promotion and recreation, and then health and culture. So let's move into promoting connections. I'd like to start with a few questions to try to provoke some thinking here. And one is, do you currently use biking or walking trails and paths in Savannah? And if so, what does that tell you about, how does that inform your thinking about the potential for this Tide to Town project? Go ahead, Ed.
No, please.
Yeah. Another question is, for your own mobility around your neighborhood, how do you negotiate your own transportation, short distance and transportation needs around your neighborhood? Do you walk? Do you occasionally ride a bike? Do you use an e-bike? Do any of those forms of transportation in your life right now, or are they potentially attractive to you in relation to a trail?
I just pulled up a map again. So here's the trail route. Just so if you're not familiar with it, it's going along the west side. It's proposed to go downtown, currently along the riverfront, and then up the east side to connect out to Truman Parkway, and then over to down to this, connect over to an area of the city over toward Windsor Forest and so on. So you may want to think your questions in terms of making connections. Think more locally where you live, where if this trail is going near, the proposed trail is going near where you live or work. How might the trail benefit you? And if it's not going exactly near you, there's going to be investment in side connections into places in the community. It's not just the main trunk of the trail that we're hearing. We want to hear about where people in communities want to see connections are made to get to the trail, to and from the trail, or to and from the trail to schools or places of work. So any thoughts people want to share with us there, please share them in the comment boxes.
Right. And in close connection with that, if the trail route offered an opportunity for an easy connection to the CAT system, what are your thoughts about that? Do you see possibilities, concrete possibilities, where a connection to the CAT system could put the trail as a factor in your daily commute from the standpoint of access to the CAT system? So that's just another aspect of what Ed just said about the various types of connections that could augment the value of the trail, but they augment it in terms of whether it connects to a specific destination or to a way to a destination, meaning the CAT system, for example. So thoughts on all those are appreciated and welcome.
Yeah, comments like that, and they could, again, if you want to think of those for a while and then type them into your comment box, please do so. The next topic is housing and community preservation, and that speaks to a comment. How do you see the trail benefiting your community? Some comments that did come in is For example, a gentleman had written, he'd like to see more done in Carver Village and West Savannah. That's great. We want to hear from you. What more, whoever submitted that comment, please tell us what you're thinking more could be done in relation to this trail, right? This and investment along the trail in community development that benefits the community. What are you thinking when you say you'd like to see more done? The specifics would be great here from folks. So the gentleman who yes, please.
Sure, thank you. So one of the things that we definitely want to ensure is that we are ensuring that our neighbors, our friends and families can stay, age in place, build wealth in place. So we are always thinking about affordable housing, and we know that the word affordable is relative, especially Savannah being named either fourth or fifth highest rent in the country here recently. So what we want to really hear from you all is, what ideas do you have that can ensure that your neighbors, yourself, those particularly who are considered low income or low wealth, can remain in their homes as the Tide to Town Trail is developed? We also want to hear, and I can put these in the chat to make sure that everyone is able to see the questions as well. And how do you feel? Because some of the comments and concerns that we had in our in-person meetings were, how do you feel about the possibility of increased property values in your neighborhood as a result of Tide to Town? And are you concerned that that could lead to rising rents or increased property taxes? What do you think that we can do to ensure that we help mitigate those issues and concerns? And so we want to hear from you all, in essence, to ensuring that you can stay in your homes. What we don't want to do is cause forced displacement. This should be a trail that everyone is able to access and provide safe routes as well as physical activity opportunities. But it is definitely on each and every one person on this call, on our minds, ensuring that our neighbors are safe and feel that they can continue to live and age and build wealth in place in our communities.
So again, I posted just one question that if anybody wants to elaborate on, and it doesn't have to be Carver Village in West Savannah, but if you have some specific recommendations about what you'd like to see more done in these kinds of places in associated with this trails development, please share those. And then, some related questions were on job creation. Will there be new jobs created as associated with this? And then will the work be done by local companies? Miranda, do you want to pick that up and speak to that? Are you on the call to speak to that?
Did you call me, sir?
Yes, Miranda. Just two questions that are related. Will there be work as this trail gets developed? Will there be work for local companies? And will there be jobs created as this trail is developed?
So in the development of the trail itself, there will be opportunities for local construction development companies to participate in the projects, as is that is the focus of our local government. So where there are opportunities, we will try to have that included into the project's plan. So the short answer is yes. As for job opportunities on the other side of development with the project, I would say yes, because what our goal would be is to have local small businesses locate along the trail where possible. Once the trail's path is determined, we would like to see as much local business participation as possible that would be contributing positively toward the trail and the trail's purposes. So the short answer there, yes.
And certainly there'll be, as it's happening already, the trail creates construction jobs, but these trails develop as and in many communities, when it's done like the city of Savannah is intending to do it, is looking to also invest in new community development along the way. So there'll be jobs associated with construction of the trail, but they'll be looking for opportunities to identify places where new businesses, or we'll start with existing businesses in the area of the trail corridor, might benefit from the trail's development as folks are out bicycling or walking and enjoying the trail. They might want to stop and get a sandwich, if it's a cafe, or go to a restaurant, or get an ice cream, or these kinds of businesses, as well as so that happens in a lot of places when these kinds of trails develop that lead to businesses expanding, as well as people investing in new businesses, which result in jobs. And on this team, we have 2 local firms already. A good percentage of our team is made up of 2 local firms, Transport Studio and Grimm Consulting. So already the city, even in this planning phase, is generating is investing further in local businesses in the community. Now, a question that's come in related to this topic, and this topic of housing and community preservation is related to what kind of economic development would folks like to see. And Deirdre's posed the questions, and I'll post it up there so people could see it. We're asking you, what would you like to see happen in your neighborhood in the next 5 or 10 years, that this trail might help improve the quality of life? What would you like to, how do you see this trail fitting in, and into your community and your neighborhoods in the future? So any questions, any comments regarding that? And Deirdre's posed another question here. I'll post it. Are there specific policies or protections you would like to see put into place as this trail gets developed so that longtime residents are not displaced, and that neighborhoods, that people who are living in neighborhoods currently who want to stay there have the ability to stay there? These are questions we're looking from you. And if you don't respond to these today, please go to the city's website, where there's a survey that provides an opportunity for you to answer these questions. We ask them there as well in that survey. So with that, why don't we turn to the topic of health promotion and recreation. Joe, do you want to pose some questions for folks?
Sure. Under health promotion and recreation, it's well known that in the literature and over a period of some decades that paths and multi-use pathways in urban areas provide health benefits and recreational benefits, but that depends upon use levels, alignments, safety concerns, and a variety of other factors related to the actual implementation of the multi-use pathway. But one of the things that would be good to get a sense of is your thoughts about, for example, recreational advantages. The trail is 30 miles long, but that one doesn't need a 30-mile ride to go out and have fun. We'd like to hear from you on what values you see as potential that the pathway could contribute to your local neighborhoods, just portions of the pathway of various lengths. And we'd like to hear your thoughts about that. And also in the course of that, for exercise and physical activity. Sometimes those things are combined, sometimes not. Sometimes just going out with kids, or sometimes kids going out, being able to go out on their own, depending on their ages. So thoughts about the value for that. And connected to that, access, and a big part of that we see in our work of urban trails is to what extent do they provide ready access or easier access or facilitating access to parkland and other green spaces, playgrounds, and parks that may be somewhat near your neighborhood, but you're more apt to patronize and use those if you get there on a bike. So what we'd like to think, and this gets back to the earlier topic of connections. Connections between your location and workplaces, recreational places, and other destinations, and with the potential for facilitating access to parkland and recreation is an important other connection that we'd urge you to provide your thoughts to us on that, to help us think about how to look at the alignment and the opportunities along the trail. And then finally, in connection with that, is what opportunities might there be for new recreational spaces that presently perhaps don't exist or don't exist in the form that offer the optimal recreational experience to your neighborhood. So thinking about recreational opportunities, getting out and having fun in combination with the ability of the trail to provide access to destinations that themselves are recreational in nature, playgrounds, parks, and so on. Love to get your thoughts on those.
And one comment came in from a gentleman saying, he'd like to see something done to improve the quality of the beach at Tybee Island, and that ties into to recreation. This Tide to Town Trail, ambitious as it is, there are others who are working toward making sure it has connections to other places within the region, including to get over to Tybee, as well as Richmond Hill and other out to Pooler and other places. So while it's not in the immediate scope of this Tide to Town project, we're certainly over time, the idea is to make connections to regional recreational assets.
And getting back to some excellent points Deirdre made earlier about community stability. We're urban planners. We think about this all the time, but you don't have to be an urban planner to know and to see that when community amenities are improved, it often has an effect on real estate prices, which gets translated through to rents as well. And we're acutely aware of the dynamics involved in potential dynamics involved in the impacts that trails can have on property values, and then the sequential effect that property value changes have on the stability of neighborhoods, and the need to have in place measures that anticipate these problems as they may manifest in terms of causing neighborhood disruptions and losing the opportunity for people to remain in their homes. So we're acutely aware of that issue. We'd like to get your sense of your particular location and what you see in your neighborhood environment and what your specific concerns might be on that.
And the way you can participate is just to type in your comments, thoughts, concerns, hopes in that comment box. That's how we'll be able to capture your what you're thinking.
Right, and anything that can be geographically specific is of great, immeasurably helpful to us in this planning process.
And while we're talking on this topic, it might be a good time to bring up that if you've not been, as we've said, the trail's going to have different places, different characters, physical characters. Out on Truman Parkway, it'll be off-road for a lot of the route. Other places, it's going to be a lane alongside of a road and painted and otherwise delineated. If you're interested in seeing what the trail might feel like in those areas where the trail will be in a greenway off-road setting, and you've never been out to, but you're still not sure what that might look like. This project is sponsoring, as Deirdre mentioned, a bus tour, and you're welcome to participate. And it's a free bus tour on Saturday, October 19th, from 1 to 3, where there'll be a trolley that will take folks out to Truman Parkway, to the trail there, walk along and get a sense of of what that's like, as well as we'll go to some other locations where the trail is proposed to go through, and you'll have a chance to see for yourself in person what the trail might look like, and so on in the future. So that, and if you're interested in that, just go to the city website, and you could sign in through the planning department. There's an email there for the city planning office where you can sign up ahead of time. We're only doing it by people signing in. We have to make sure we have enough seats on the bus and so on. So that's Saturday, October 19th, from 1 to 4, and weather permitting, I suppose. But yeah, weather permitting, we'll say that. So with that, does anybody else, let's see what it says. What Historically Black neighborhoods will this trail benefit? That's a good, I'm going to post this question. Deirdre, you want to just give us, the trail route, you want to speak to some of the places that where the trail will go through that are historically Black neighborhoods?
Sure. One thing that, and thank you, Dr. Howard Hall, for posing this question. So the trail will wrap around the neighborhoods in West Savannah proper, from West Savannah to Carver Village to Cloverdale. I know that there is a part of Tremont Park in Ogeechiton that have a little bit of areas, a small piece of land that it'll go through. But I would like to also speak to Dr. Gert's comment about the investment. One thing we definitely have to ensure is that our communities are able to benefit from this investment, right? And ensuring that it is not just something for show or for talk. And so one thing that Ed and Joe have worked on in Atlanta around some trails there, we're helping marginalized businesses create shops and pop-up areas where the businesses are along the trail. So we would like to see local business owners, DBE businesses or MWBE businesses, be able to utilize these spaces on the trail to create wealth for not just their households, but also for the community, and circulate dollars there. So those are some of the communities, especially in the West Side corridor, that they will be impacted. There are also parts of Liberty City, if I'm not mistaken, and please y'all forgive me, I can't see right now, my glasses aren't on, but we can definitely talk more about the communities that they will impact. But one of the questions that I would like to pose to the group is, how do you believe that the Tide to Town Trail may impact cultural and the historical identity of your community? And how can we ensure that your voices, your heritage, your lineage is a part of the trail? But I know that that's further down the line that we'll talk about that area.
No, it's a good time to bring it up. That's the last topic area. So why don't you just go ahead and lead that one? What opportunities might this trail present with respect to helping your community further tell its story, celebrate a community's heritage and culture? For sure. For example, during the in-person meetings, a lot of folks had suggestions about events that could, parades, areas along the trail, banners telling, celebrating important people and past events in the community and so on. Maybe some artists, people proposed, hey, can artists be engaged to work with communities to celebrate a community? So those kinds of suggestions, please submit and send that in to us.
And one thing I'd like to include is, as a Gullah Geechee woman, we definitely want to ensure that our cultural heritage is not just acknowledged, but it is weaved throughout this whole project. Savannah has a deep history, unfortunately, of slavery. The Weeping Time, now the second largest sale of enslaved Africans on record, happened here. And so we need to pay homage to the ancestors as well as those who helped build Savannah. Matter of fact, built Savannah, not helped, but built Savannah. So please give all of your suggestions on how we can do that and make this culturally appropriate and relevant for all who come to visit Savannah, take back and understand what Savannah is. We're not just a first planned city, but there is a deep history and heritage of African American influence, Gullah Geechee influence, and African influence to the area. So we want to ensure that that's highlighted.
So, again, folks, feel free to make some comments, and if you in that comment box, and if you want more time to think about it, go to the city's website, the City of Savannah's website. Just post in there Tied to Town Trail, and it'll bring you to more information about the project, as well as to a survey where you can share your thoughts. There's some open-ended questions, so you can write in your thoughts on various topics, or email the city's planning department with your thoughts. I think with that,
if I could just say, all thoughts are welcome, even if you're not sure how relevant it is. If it's something that's a thought you've had that's been prompted by the idea of this trail, we'd like to hear it.
So with that, I think without any more comments from folks, I think we'll just maybe want to wrap this meeting up. And any information that was brought up today, you'll find on the city's website. And if you want to go to that tour of the trail out in Truman Parkway and some other locations around the city on the 19th of October, 1 to 4, sign up on this, and go to the city's website, the planning office, and that's how you sign up to attend that. With that, I think we're going to wrap it up. Bridget, do you want to have any final thoughts?
I do not have any final thoughts. I'm just really happy that everybody could join us today, and really hope that you all are learning more about the Tied to Town project and how we're trying to weave equity into it in order to ensure that we're reaching a lot of the goals and objectives that were mentioned today, particularly some of the things that Dr. Grimm had said. So with that, if you all have any other questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out to us, as Ed had mentioned, on our website, www.savannahga.gov, Tied to Town. So please feel free. The survey is on the website, and we look forward to working with you all as we craft this plan.
Great. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.